always mean to fade it out. Y'all, I'm struggling. I'm always struggling. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Wives Club. The Wives Club was started in 2021 when I booked a session with the late great Kevin Samuels, and we are determined to keep his legacy alive. If you don't know me, I am Maggie the substitute teacher. I have a cooking channel. I make food and femininity content. Lucy is a moderator on Kevin's channel. Lucy, please introduce yourself.
Yes, I used to moderate for Kevin Samuels, and he's the one that started calling me Lucasely instead of Lucasley, and that's how you all know me by Lucasely 20. And every time we met Wednesdays and Fridays on YouTube, and Tuesdays and Thursdays on Instagram, there was always something to learn from him. At least for me, it was beautiful to see how precise he was with his words and with his analysis in trying to get the true self of those women calling in. And this is a perfect example of how he was able to present the true nature of these two women that we're going to be talking about.
Absolutely. So, what we do in the Wives Club is each week we review a Kevin Samuels episode. You can see by the title, today we are reviewing Modern Women Are a Party of One. You all know Kevin with his titles, and as always, I put the link to the original episode in the description. So if you haven't watched it or you'd like to rewatch it, I highly encourage you to do so. So this was one of his full-length live streams. So this one was about an hour and a half. He had his monologue, and then he had two women call in. One, if you all remember, was a divorcee. She had two boys, and admittedly, she said that she was difficult in her marriage. So her husband left her and was basically struggling. And then the second one was a faith-based young woman who was keeping herself until marriage, but she had a lot of modern woman tendencies. All right, so what we do is we react from our own lived experience. Lucy and I both have long-term relationship and marriage experience. So if you're interested in the thoughts of two older women, here we go. So I have all my notes here and my clips. This was a long one. All right. So in the beginning, what I loved about one of the things that Kevin said in this episode, but then also is that all he's done with all the people that were mad at him, his critics and detractors, he was basically saying, I'm just letting you know what men already think. And ladies, if you talk to men, when they circle up in their own safe spaces, on the basketball court, in the barber shop, because we are better together, and I think most of us want relationships, men talk about women and women talk about men. And so it was sometimes painful to see, but I think Kevin really gave us an insight into some of the reasons why we are where we are. What would you add, Lucy?
Yes, and that was one of the things that, for me, whenever he spoke, he used to say, "Men do not change. Men have been the same for centuries and millennia, and they have not changed the way they see the world. And unfortunately, the way that the world has changed for women has allowed us women to think, for whatever reason, that men are somehow have changed or are going to change, or we are going to change them in any way. And it's not going to happen. It's their nature to stay even keeled all throughout centuries. And it is our jobs, our tasks to learn how to learn our men and to learn the best, how we can best work with them if we want to be partnered up with, a wonderful, good man.
Absolutely. If you ask me, there's nothing better, but I always give you the disclaimer. I know this isn't for everyone, so if traditional relationships aren't for you, then have it your way. I love what Kevin said. So this title, Modern Women Are a Party of One, there was a part in the episode where he was kind of, poking fun, but he was saying, boss babe, party of one, marketing agent, party of one, attorney, party of one, which is kind of a play on, when you go to a restaurant and you're waiting for them to call you, they'll say name, like, Margaret or Brown, party of four. And if you observe out and about, a lot of women have created a life for themselves where they are alone a lot longer than they wanted to be. How did we get here? All right, so one of the things that Kevin talked about is the I want to say misinformation, or the bad judgment that some women have when it comes to the difference between attention and intention. And especially when women get attention from men, they may spend money on you, they may spend time with you, they may spend the night with you. But Kevin said in this episode, but what can you keep? And a lot of times women find themselves taking another lap around the mountain because they think, oh, just because he bought me something, oh, just because he took me out, oh, just because he spent time with me, he's really interested in me. And one of the things you realize about men's nature, they put us in categories early on, and they know who is wife material and who is not wife material. So that's what we promote here. What would you add, Lucy? Muted.
Sorry. He also talked about the seven deadly sins for the modern woman. And he said the number one sin is the lack of humility, because he started talking about how, for whatever reason, the modern woman has put themselves in a very high status place, and they are not able to humble themselves and say, yeah, maybe I'm not a 10. Maybe I deserve a blue collar man, not that modern woman, novel 6'5" finance a suit wearing man, that it only comes in the romantic books, romantic novels. And I can tell you, because for a long time, I've been reading those books. They can get very spicy, but it's always the woman that he met at the diner, and he walked in with all his suit, the CEO. So again, we create this story in our heads that it could happen to us, and that's not real life. So again, and it also goes back to the topic that we talked about on Wednesday on our regular Wednesday stream, about women not being able to look at themselves and say, am I the problem? Do I need to lower my standards according to who it is that I am looking at the mirror. So that's something that was really interesting that he talked about.
Yes, absolutely. So let's unpack that a little bit. So, how did we end up with a lot of modern women being alone? And like Lucy said, it's about the standards and the expectations. And I know a lot of women have a visceral reaction to saying, lower your standards. Oh, but I'm a 10, I'm a 10. Well, the problem is, ladies, and I've seen this, Lucy and I have a finishing school. I do coaching and consults outside of YouTube. And he talked about in this episode, a lot of women are holding out for better. And he kept asking, like, what are you holding out for? And there's this idea that that magical man, that perfect man, like Lucy said, is going to come out of the romance novel and just make everything wonderful. And in the meantime, you can just do whatever you want to do because one day my prince will come. I have actually heard people say, well, what's for me is for me, meaning I don't really have to put any effort into it. And you find yourself alone, especially the women that he said are in the danger zone, which is 27 to 35, for marriage. Not too long ago, Lucy and I were both married in our early to mid 20s. I remember feeling like I got married at 25, and I felt like, whew, I just got in before I got to my late 20s, but now women are postponing it because they think that, with their life experience and their accomplishments, and take it from a reformed modern woman, that is going to raise your value. But it doesn't. I'll tell you all something that my man said this week that has just really just got my head spinning because I learned so much from him. And he says he's a simple Southern man, and he says the most simple things, but it just blows my mind. And he said a rancher is looking for a rancher's wife, meaning a man is not just looking for a wife, a man is looking for his wife. So he has already built himself. He has already created the type of life that he wants where he can thrive. So when he's out and about, he is scanning, because men are hunters. He is scanning, looking for the type of woman. Ooh, no, I'm a simple Southern man. She's too high maintenance. Ooh, yeah, she don't like to cook. Ooh, she doesn't keep a clean home. Whatever is important to him. So you have to know where your value is as a wife and how you can support the man that you want to be with. Because if you just think I'm a 10, that might be great if you want to be with yourself, but if you want to be with a man, you have to be his 10. You have to be his woman. Like Lucy says, you want to be an asset. So not only are we holding out, we're valuing ourselves in the wrong way for relationship, because men don't care about that. What would you add, Lucy?
And that's one of the things about the modern dating environment. Whereas when we were younger, when I first got married, I didn't date. I dated. I met the man that I thought was right for me, and we, we went out. We knew what our values were, and we got married. The fact that these women are dating from one person to the other, looking for that one item that they're missing from every man that they're searching for, is leaving them in a really bad situation, because by the time that they're 30, they've left, many relationships behind. And the man that might be looking for them is going to take a look at why this person has not found the right man during this time that she was dating how many men.
Yeah, that's so true. I met my ex-husband. I was 18. It was the summer before college. He was my one and only college boyfriend. We got engaged the year after I graduated and married the year after that. And, unfortunately, reformed modern woman, after 10 years of marriage, it ended in divorce. But that was half of my life with one person. And then life brought me back to someone I grew up with. So, ladies, having all of these experiences, it makes it very difficult for you to really look at a man without comparing him to all of your past experiences. And Lucy has said, men want to be our heroes. They don't want to be picked apart because you've had, everything underneath the sun. The other thing that Kevin talked about, like Lucy said, is our lack of humility. Kevin often used to talk about the market. He was a marketing and an image consultant, but basically there's a dating marketplace, and in relationships, men choose. I believe they offer. We either accept with grace or we exit with grace. But basically, we have to realize that yes, we are competing to be that one for him. The other thing that Kevin said is that there's almost this like deification. Not only are we waiting, not only are we dating every Tom, Dick, and Harry, but then when we do meet someone, we're expecting him to almost bow at our feet, to swim across broken glass and bring us a lemonade. When you have to really realize, one of the things he said in this episode that struck me again is the men that we want, and ladies, if you're a traditional woman, you want a masculine man. But the men that we want have already built ourselves. You have two options, ladies. You either meet him young and grow together, or if you want to be one of those who delays relationships and then you want to meet a man at the finish line after he's already done all the work on his own, you basically are going to get on the program. You have not earned a right to challenge how he lives his life. And expecting him to stop what he's doing to, cater to you first, that takes him off his purpose. And he didn't work 10, 15 years to do that. So we really need to change our perception and our expectation. Yes, you will get love. Yes, you will get pampered. Yes, you will get all those things after you have shown your usefulness and your value to him consistently over time. So if you're waiting back and you're looking to cherry pick the best one, you are getting in the back of the line because you have to prove who you are to him. What would you add, Lucy?
And those men that are waiting for that one special woman that already have built their world, they're going to be incredibly, they're going to expect a lot from you. So if you think that you're going to come in and just sit at the couch eating bonbons, waiting for the maid to come and clean the service person in your house, waiting to clean the house, you have a new thing coming because they are expecting you to do a job. Whatever you decide on what that marriage is going to be like, he's going to hold you up to that commitment. You can't come in thinking that you're just going to sit back and relax after this man that has built his world has built it because he has had expectations all throughout that time, and he's going to have the same expectations or higher from the woman that's going to be occupying his side.
Absolutely. A few other quotes from Kevin in his monologue here. One of the things that he said that struck me is that if we are being honest as modern women, we are jealous of men. If you think of the whole feminist movement, I know it started with honorable intentions, but it's gotten to this point where, my man tells me women almost act like men have these secret squirrel meetings where they're hiding the keys to the kingdom and they have this amazing life and they're trying to keep it from us. Okay, well, the doors have been open. You can take any job you want. We start at 6 a.m. Let's go. And what you're realizing is that, ladies, we really don't want to carry that burden until we're 65. It may look like the grass is greener over there, but ask any corporate woman. I've been corporate over 25 years. You naturally start to slow down and you don't love it as much as you did before. So take it from two older women. So if we realize that we're jealous of men, and it's because we're too impressed with ourselves. That's one of the things that Kevin said. That one was tough, but that's another way that you will be left alone. One of the tips I always like to give you all, teachable moments. We have accomplishments and accolades, and that's great. But when you lead with that, what it does is it doesn't draw people to you. It actually draws them away from you. All of the wonderful qualities will show up over time, and that's fine. Just be consistent, because what men want, and Kevin said in this episode, is peace and humility. That's really important, ladies. Lucy talked about that. Not only do we want to bring peace, but we want to show gratitude and we want to be humble, which means we don't expect the best of the best the first day. Show gratitude and realize, like I said, we're not equals. We are equally valued, but ladies, we don't want to have to do what men do. And honestly, they don't want to have to do what we do. But I think we're better together, like Kevin said, because another thing he said in here is that, we've been lied to. We can't have it all at the same time. You are going to have to make a choice. And I will say it again, if you want relationships, use your leverage while you can. What would you add, Lucy?
I keep thinking that because I hit the mute button on my microphone, the mute over here is going to work. Anyway, we've been thinking that this concept of feminism was started by a group of really good-minded women, and history tells us otherwise. The women that started this group were really angry, wanting to get revenge from the women, from the men that they felt that they were oppressed. But again, that's going back to the history of why feminism has come to this this point, where at this point is supremacy over men to a point. But anyway, so yeah, we are not equals. Really, we women do not want to do the jobs. I was driving the other day here in California with horrible traffic jams, and there's what is it? The concrete, the asphalt in the roads is just breaking down. Infrastructure. You don't see women doing the asphalt, pouring the asphalt on the roads in the heat of 100 degrees, because again, we're not meant for that. Men are meant to do those hard works, and even if they don't want to, they have to. Whereas we are pretty privileged. We can say, "Oh no, it's too hot." With my husband, when he does the lawn out there, I'm the one cleaning the house inside with air conditioning. I make him his little lemonade and his little sandwich because he's out there doing his thing, because that's what he loves, but that's what he does. I don't think I could do it. So again, we are not meant to be equal, and we need to stop. We need to start appreciating those very marked differences, because there's a reason why nature created us differently.
I absolutely love that. We're going to move on to the callers, but let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Jay Shar says, "Yeah, agreed. Women have been jealous of men for centuries now. Thanks for recognizing that." And ladies, I'm not trying to poo-poo on anything, but I want to give you all a homework assignment that you don't even have to turn in. But one of the things that Lucy and I teach is awareness. And I want you to open your eyes and start really observing the world around you in two ways. I travel a lot for my YouTube channel, and one day I took either the red eye or something, and I came back. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning here in Atlanta airport. So all the restaurants and everything, the gates were closed. And so you all know at night is when they repair stuff. They're working on the luggage things, the signage. I looked from the time I got off of that plane all the way until I got to my car at the men that were the people that were on the lifts, the people that were cleaning, the people that were taking these third shift jobs, the ones that were doing electrical work, all the things to make life big and beautiful. So I want you to open your eyes, like Lucy said, the construction crews, airport staff, especially if you're out and about and it's like non-prime hours. The men, they do this work and they do it without complaint. On the contrary, look at the women that you know, your age and older. I see this especially with older women. I'm consider myself older. I'll be 49 later this year. And we complain. We will do the job, but we complain, we're tired, this person's getting on my nerves, another meeting. And like Lucy said, we have these office jobs, climate controlled, 9 to 5 hours where we can get a proper lunch. It doesn't interrupt our sleep. It doesn't interrupt our meal schedule. We can take all the bio breaks that we need to, yet and still we complain. So I want to give you all those two assignments, and just, you don't have to report back to me, but just start observing more and then think about yourself as you age, because we haven't really changed that much. We weren't built for it for the long haul. Like Kevin used to say, pressure is built for shoulders and not hips. Who do we have here? One of our moderators at International Quiet Storm. He says, "I nominate Lucy for governor." Absolutely. Well, I'll vote for her, and I'm not even in California. No problem, Jay Shar. We got you. No problem. Okay. Thank you all for the comments. We'll give you our thoughts. We definitely want to bring you all into the conversation. So again, in this episode, after he did his monologue, he allowed a couple women to call in. The first woman, it was a very lengthy call, but it was very telling. And, to summarize it, and then I'll just go through my points. She initially called with a concern about the dating landscape. And after Kevin peeled that onion, he realized that you shouldn't be concerned about your dating prospects at all. She was divorced. She was a housewife, so she didn't work in the marriage. I think she said she was married 10 years. She had 2 boys, so I can relate to that. Her husband left her. Kevin always asks who filed for divorce. She said her husband did. And he asked her a question that just struck me. He said, "What did he want you to do?" And out of her mouth, she said, "Shut up." And he said, "Why couldn't you do that?" And she said, She was just difficult and combative because that's what she saw her mother do. Mother was never married, to her boyfriends, to the children. She was just a difficult woman. And Kevin asked her, what do you think it's like to live with you? And she's like, yeah, probably not nice. But now she's got all the struggles that come with starting life over. She's trying to, think about dating and who's going to take her and her baggage and all of these problems. And Kevin started asking her, what work have you done since the divorce? And it was just heartbreaking because her ex-husband was paying her child support, alimony. He didn't have enough money for his own housing, and so he was, unable to visit the boys. And Kevin was basically saying, what if you split custody? What if you give the boys to their dad? Why are you worrying about moving on with your life? Your household is out of order. Nobody's going to take that on. So this is another thing where we just sometimes, ladies, blow past the elephant in the room. And he told her something. Any man that you date is going to ask you about your ex-husband. What is the status right now? Are things amicable? Do you all have a good parenting plan? And if you can't answer that, you have no business trying to date again. What would you add, Lucy?
That was perfect. And the fact that it took him a lot to get some of the truth about what exactly was her situation, to for her to say that she was not working and the husband was doing the work, and she was, caring for the house, and for her to, for whatever reason, not be able to just be peaceful for him. That's all it took. And there's probably more to the story. She would not share information voluntarily. So little bits and pieces he was extracting, but it took forever for her to tell the truth, to tell her story. So again, and that is something that attending those nightly meetings with him, trying to extract the information, it told me that there's a lot of women that are not willing to be for forthcoming with the truth, with how it is that their life has gotten to this point. And and it's so sad because she has two children, and she was unwilling to work with the husband to make the children's lives a peaceful environment. And as I was listening to that, to this replay, I was thinking about you, Maggie, how you worked it out with your ex-husband, with the children, with the boys, for you to share the duties of what a dad does and what a mom does, after divorce. It's just, it showed that you were willing to look past everything else and look for the benefit of the children.
Thank you for saying that, Lucy. So, if you all don't know, I'll give you a little bit of my story because I could really relate to this woman. But she was still very stuck on what was important to her. And Kevin said often in talking to her, I don't care about you. I don't care about your happiness. I don't care about your dating life. I care about these boys. And that is the number one thing. Ladies, once you become a parent, once you become a mother, and for dads too, but we speak to the women here, the kids are the priority. You chose to have a family. So, like I said, I met my ex-husband at 18, was married for 25 years, but I always put myself on the hot seat and say that, as a reformed modern woman, I thought, it was that 50-50. I could do everything that he could do, all of that little competition and stuff that we think is going to get us somewhere. And then 10 years later, and two kids and all of the stress, I was just, crumbling underneath that. Anyway, the marriage ended in divorce. And on paper, we have joint legal custody. I have, I guess, what is it, like physical custody. But I sat down with my ex-husband. I'm like, I'm not doing this every other weekend with you. No, these are your children. When they're small, they look different in a week. So we worked out something where, during the school, they were with me. Every break, they were with their dad. Fast forward now, the boys are 14 and 16, and they're bigger than me. And as teenage and adolescent boys, I've done my part. Ladies, I know you think, oh, that's my baby, but my, ex-husband just told me, end of school is over, grades are looking good. They can come to you. He tells me when they can come see me. And this is my ex-husband. So he sat everybody down and let them know, you're coming to live with me. These are the rules. You do what you need to. Then you can go to your mom's, because he knows here I'm going to feed them. I'm going to do all those things that moms do. But I cannot raise a man, and boys need to be around men to learn how to conduct themselves, how to sharpen those skills. They don't need my estrogen, they need their dad's testosterone. So, you really have to put your needs on the back burner. When you look at it in the full scope of life, they're going to be up and out soon. I'll have the rest of my life to do whatever I want to, but I know as a mother, I could not just go about my happy little path if things were not settled with my kids. So ladies, it is doable. Yes, it is an ego check, especially when we think we know best and we're perfect, but we don't know everything. And if it's the best for the kids, and in my case, it was the best thing. So I'm very grateful. My ex-husband and I were able to work that out, and the boys are doing great. Thank you all so much for the support. Let's see what else he told this woman. As far as the damage that she's doing, I'm just going through the comments here. But I loved what he said. It was kind of heartbreaking too, because she said something disparaging about her ex-husband, and Kevin yanked her chain. She sat there and fixed her mouth to say, I mean, yeah, I still, love him, or something. She would get back with him, even though he's a piece of crap. And Kevin was like, whoa, 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 we do not do that over here. Ladies, I know it's not the topic of this episode, but the internet is forever. And he told her that. You are disparaging this man who provided for you and sat you down for 10 years so you could be a mom, and it still wasn't good enough. And for the whole world to hear, and for his two sons to see that is on the internet forever, you call their father a piece of crap when he is working, paying you child support, paying you alimony, maybe couch surfing or doing the best that he can to send the money to you, and you dare insult him that way. So Kevin read her the riot act. Ladies, if you think that disparaging any of your exes is going to get you favor with the man that you want to be with, it is the absolute opposite. Men know how difficult it is. And so you want to clean that up, because you will never know how much damage you're doing, not only to your children, but also to yourself, and how you may end up as a party of one. What would you add, Lucy?
And they're going to be looking, hi, Uncle Stu, salute to you. They're also going to be looking at this woman is talking so badly about her ex. Why would I want to be involved with somebody that, if it, for whatever reason, this friendship, this relationship doesn't work out, that's how she's going to talk to me once we go our separate ways again. And that's not only, husband, wife, that's every relationship. You just have to be careful about how you speak about somebody. And that's also one of the things that we as women need to, we need to look at our empathy, at being able to try to relate at what men go through on a day-to-day basis. I come from Latino, we're Latinos. So Latino men here, they work their butts off, just like, the African American community, Black community, the same thing. But it's you have to work 3 times harder sometimes to show your worth, and we know it, and that's how life is. And for us not to show empathy for those men that work 3, 5, 10 times harder than in the normal environment, that is something that we need to get back and say, wait a minute, we need to be a little more kind to our men, to our parents, to our brothers, our people that we love, because again, it showed again the lack of humility that she had. and the lack of empathy about her talking badly about the man that she had two children with. So again, and then he asked her, so you rather be working rather than getting along with your husband? And then he also asked her, so he divorced you. What did the divorce papers say? Was it kind of like what is it, an amicable type divorce? What is it that they call it? I can't remember what, when you, irreconcilable differences. And she said, I never read the divorce papers. Did he leave you for another woman? I don't think so. And then she started talking about him losing his job and earning less than she did. And she said something. Sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. My husband is working in the backyard. Okay. Sorry. Sorry. I am so sorry,
It's
guys.
okay.
So he said, she said the industry changed because he quit his job. And then that also had Kevin just go off on her.
Yes, absolutely. Aaron Laura says here, if those boys grow up and learn their dad's been stand up and mom said terrible things about, they may grow to resent her. That's such a good point. Ladies, we're worried about the next man. If you don't have a good relationship with your children, it doesn't really matter how much love you find in the future. If your children hate you, I'll speak for myself. I would never be okay to just move on with a new love if things weren't right with my children. Yes, and Lucy's dogs are part of the conversation. I see Jay Shar says that there is a video. Maybe one of the moderators can find this and drop it in the chat. To Be a Man by Dax. I know there's lots of YouTube videos on here, and I try to watch them from time to time because I am a boy mom. I can't speak to the male experience, but I see the struggle and the growth even in these small like adolescent to teen years, and both of the boys are going to take the military route, so I know they have a very long road ahead. And let me find some woman call him a piece of crap. But anyway, Maggie will stay feminine. I want to move on to the second lady, but I will say this in closing. And again, I encourage you all to watch this lady who called in, because she was talking about her life and everything, and this man had made sacrifices for her. And the other thing that Kevin said that struck me, when she called him a piece of crap, she was basically saying he doesn't come around to see the kids. Yeah, he pays me child support. Yeah, he pays me alimony, but the kids don't ask for him anymore because he stopped coming over. And when Kevin got the full story, she realized the man was functionally homeless. He was living with different people because he had to send so much money to her, and she was unwilling, like Lucy said, to work with him. And Kevin said that oftentimes, because men want to appear a certain way to their boys, if they feel like they're not going to be able to be that example, be that leader, they don't want their sons to see them that way. So oftentimes they will remove themselves, hoping for the best for their boys so they don't have that example as a father. And that just broke my heart, because kids need their fathers. Especially, we get our identity from our fathers, especially sons. So ladies, just keep that in mind. If you have a contentious relationship with your ex-husband, hopefully you don't have kids out of wedlock, but if you do, you do need to sort that out, because it's going to affect your children. It's going to affect that man, and no man worth his salt is going to want to take on a chaotic situation. It's hard enough when there are children already. So if you don't want to find yourself as a party of one, this is definitely something to sort out. Okay. The second lady who called in, you all probably saw her. She was a beautiful 25-year-old who was, I think she said from Seattle, moved to the Washington, D.C. area, saving herself for marriage. But she called in questioning Kevin. She started off by asking him, "What do you like about women?" And he was like, "What are you talking about? That's not what I do here." And she went on this thing with this air of, "Well, I hear you always talk about these women with multiple relationships and multiple children, and that's just not me. So I've just been waiting to hear when you're going to talk about someone like me." Basically, riding in on her high horse, assuming she's better than, and basically, instead of just saying, "Could you give some advice to my situation humbly?" she was basically pointing the finger at Kevin, saying, "Yeah, you know what? I haven't been listening that much, but I haven't heard anything that you said that applies to me." And he said, "Young lady, I don't do that here." Let me tell you another thing, ladies. Men do not owe us an audience, and they do not owe us answers to our 20 questions. So you really want to humble yourself. And I even ask permission, may I ask, before you just go, especially a man you're senior. That's one of the things I never understood on Kevin's show, how these 20 somethings would just call in to a man 50 plus and just talk to him like some, random cousin. So he really checked her on that. And that just to me goes to the humility. There was some other stuff going that I'll touch on, but what would you add, Lucy?
Well, and I think that one of the things that I saw immediately is that she was a pretty girl, pretty young girl. So that pretty privilege had her get herself on like a high horse because no matter what anybody said, she still had the beauty and the youth on her side. So, but it was beautiful how Kevin kind of like brought her down by asking some really important questions about where she come from, where she came from, how she said that she was keeping herself intact because she was a Christian, and then he brought up that Christian feminists that he has heard a lot from. He asked her, "So who do you date? Do you go to church?" She had just moved to DC, and she was going to this a group of Black professionals. She's a member of a Black professionals kind of group. And he said, "Well, if you're a Christian, wouldn't you be going to a church where you would be meeting the Christian men that would not be looking onto just dating, but um, going through the same things that you're going about, keeping himself intact and following the same values in the church?" And she wasn't willing to accept that.
Yeah, great point. So, a couple things on this one. So, yes, she was pretty, she was young. That's great. Ladies, another thing that my man said is your beauty will give you the opportunity to take the test, but a lot of beautiful women will fail the test. Because, like I said in the beginning, men are looking for something specific and they are looking for something for them. So just because you have beauty and youth, which is wonderful, but it is fleeting, it will bring you to the front of the line for you to be vetted even more thoroughly. So if you are not consistent with what that man is looking for, your outcome is still the same. You will be a party of one. So not only did she come in with this attitude, one of the ways that Kevin checked her is he said, "Are generalizations valid?" Because she said, "Oh, you just keep talking about all these women." But she says, "I'm waiting. I've been waiting for you to talk about someone like me. I've been waiting to see someone like me on your show." And he said, "Ma'am, I've done about 7 episodes on Christian feminists." Now, here's the thing, ladies, believe what you want to believe, do what you want to do. But it's really important with men that you are consistent. And I have talked to some friends who say, "Oh, well, I don't do that." But you go all the way up to the line and you do all these other things. Look, I'm not telling you to be a prude. I'm not telling you to do or don't do anything, but men are not stupid. And when he started asking her questions, if you say, let's say you say you're a Christian, he asked her, "Do you go to church regularly?" She starts beatboxing all around the answer. She's going to some virtual church. She's got a pastor in another state. It was just very chaotic. He asked her, "Okay, does the church that you go to have an active singles ministry?" "Well, kind of, not really, this and that." And he starts just asking her questions, and you see it start to unravel. Basically, She is not moving actively with the intention of, if this is your reason and this is your faith, you're not exclusively dating those people. You're trying to take this out onto the marketplace, looking for a man who's going to give you an international lifestyle. You don't want to date somebody too much older than you. He needs to make $500,000 a year. And oh yeah, it's going to take me about 2 years before I know if I'm ready to take a proposal. And he didn't laugh in her face, but Kevin pretty much told her, you're out of your mind. If you have these beliefs and you have these convictions, that's fine. Then you need to find somebody that mirrors that and matches that. A lot of women end up alone because you have whatever your beliefs or your practices are, but you're out here with other people who don't believe the same. So it's never going to turn into a meaningful relationship. Circling back to what I said, I'm going to start asking women, number one, do you want to be a wife? Because I need to stop assuming that women want to. And then I'm going to ask you, what type of wife do you want to be? And I hope you have a good answer. I hope you've thought about that. And then I'm going to ask you, what type of husband is looking for that type of wife? So ladies, if you can't answer those three questions clearly and your actions show that, you're not ready to be dating. And that was one of the things he poked a lot of holes into. Her actions were not, as Christian as she said. She said she wanted a partner. She said she wanted someone to build with. All the modern feminist language. Men who have made themselves are not looking for a partner. They didn't need you to get here. They don't need you to keep them there. They're looking for something specific, and it's your job, like Lucy said, to find out what they need so you have a realistic option to be in a life partnership, hopefully a marriage, and not be out here as a party of one. What would you add, Lucy?
Yes, and she kept saying about partnership, about the person next to her. She never said husband again. And I think we talked about that on our last Wednesday episode. A woman that is not willing to say, my husband is looking for something else. It's not that much, it's not that traditional woman that some men are looking for. She also pushed back when Kevin said that Christianity had a hierarchy. And she said, well, I'm not going to, I wouldn't call it a hierarchy. And then he took her down onto why Christianity does have the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and all of that. It is essential to understand that there is a type of levels on where you sit in this set of values. Um, and when she said the hierarchy part, I said, yeah, she's been drinking that feminist Kool-Aid for so many years that it's going to be very hard for her to realize that when she's 32 and the guys are not coming to her, that it's nobody else's fault but hers. Just like the girl we saw on Wednesday about her saying that she had this and she had that and she wanted to have that 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 partner and build together. That is that narrative that has been sold to women that unfortunately once it get to a point, it's going to be too late.
So true. So, ladies, if you don't want to end up as a party of one, Kevin had some really good points here. Let's see what Erin Laura says. A lot of women who say they want a God-fearing man live their lives by the zodiac, or they want a man who worships women. That's not a man. It's all very strange. I don't think they know what they believe. That part right there, ladies, you need to be answered. You need to be able to answer that question clear, concisely, and consistently. A man is going to ask you. I was talking to a friend that was in kind of one of these, well, we're just kind of, vibing or whatever. And then it ends. And I remember asking her, did you go into this relationship saying, I'm looking for someone serious because I'm serious. I've always seen myself as a wife, second time around for me. This is what I can provide. This is what I'm looking for. Did you have that simple conversation? And the answer was kind of like, no. So you get what you get. The other thing that Kevin said in this episode that made me laugh, when he was telling this little girl, because I'm older, he was like, this is not Burger King. You cannot have it your way. You got to pick something. Ladies, y'all with these long lists, you're going to end up alone. He said, you need to pick one thing that is your thing. So if you are a Christian and you need a man who shares the same faith, you need to find that and work with that. But he can't be a Christian, not more than, 10, 15 years older than me. Makes $500,000, 500,000, needs to live in this area. I mean, I don't even know what all she wanted. Oh, she wanted to be able to travel internationally, provide certain lifestyle for the kids. It was just kind of like, look, lady, this type of laundry list is what gets a lot of ladies party of one. So if you don't know what your deal breakers are, and I would suggest no more than three, and then you work with your man, because believe me, he's working with you. If you all think he's getting everything he wants, you got another thing coming. We have our flaws, and men know that, but they love and accept us anyway. Or you can forget all of this and work until you're 65. That's always an option. The other thing that Kevin, checked her on, like Lucy said, this whole uh, pushback on the hierarchy. So if you want to say you're a woman of faith, a few things to get rid of, ladies. This partner language, you get that out of your vocabulary. Partner is interchangeable. You can take this one out and put this one in. There is husband and wife. If you want something traditional, a husband has a role in the marriage, a wife has a role in the marriage, because masculine men are not looking for partners. All right. The whole like, well, I thought we would be a team. She said something like, well, I just wanted to be, on his team, or like co-pilot, or she used some type of language like it was, equal, we're equals. We are equally valued, but we are not the same. Ultimately, if you want something traditional, men have the final say if you want a traditional relationship, because they're willing to take the risk that we are not. Look at all the stuff that's happening in the news right now. People will run to a woman's aid. I was at my school reunion. They had a picnic, women and children to the front of the picnic line. The men, who were probably hungrier because they set up everything, waited. Now, if I'd had my way, the ladies would have been making plates, but y'all didn't ask me that. But men know that, and they accept that, and they wait, and they allow us to have the better seat, the safer position. I don't see any women saying, no, 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 we're partners. You go first. I'll wait. No, we're not doing that, ladies. The luxury lifestyle that we want, she had no idea when he started asking her questions. I encourage you all to watch this episode, but her youth and her beauty, although attractive in the beginning, to me, ended up being kind of vapid, because when he really just started asking her simple questions, she started to crumble under the pressure. So, especially for you ladies who are just born beautiful, God bless it. You didn't do anything to get it, and that's wonderful. Just make sure that you're ready for the test, because you will be tested and you don't want to fail it. What would you add, Lucy?
And I'd also like to add that traditional women now means a much something different than what traditional women were back then. I think that these women that are dressing up as traditional, they are playing a role of being traditional, but just because you're in front of the camera, that's not what traditional is. Now, traditional, I think it means also women that work, because also a modern man is going to be looking to see, what is she doing with her free time? Is she just going out partying and doing her thing, and then when she gets back home on her TikTok, she dresses up like a traditional woman and acts like a traditional woman? Or is she really showing those traditional values, that even though she works, because I think that even back then, and traditional women used to work, somehow they found something, again, to be the man's helpmeet, to be the man, even though they didn't have an actual job, they would earn the ability to be the wife, to be the one that somehow brought in, went and milked the cows or the goats and made the cheese. So again, I think that this cosplay of some of these women that are seeing on that young women that are seeing this traditional on TikTok, that's really not traditional in real life. Traditional in real life is, yeah, if you're on your own, you do get to work, always looking for that opportunity to meet that man that will bring you into his life and create that nuclear family with children, and you work it out together with the same values. Again, that would be now the new modern term of a traditional wife or a traditional family.
I love that. I dropped the link as we close out in case anybody wants to chat. Aaron Laura says it's incongruent expectations, meaning I want a man who makes a lot of money, but I want him to make time for me every day and not be working at the office. It doesn't work that way, ladies. Ultimately, you're going to have to choose. And I love what Lucy said. Yes, we are in modern times. All of us who live in modern times, we are modern women. To me, traditional means you prioritize the family first. Yes, you can work. I work, but you work in a way that makes room for and prioritizes your relationship. So for me, I work from home. I work in tech. So I'm able to contribute, but I don't have the burden of doing everything. I'm a mother first, so I have a flexible schedule. So if I do need to pick up or what, I'm a little bit empty nester now because of what I shared with you all, but I've always made sure that the family comes first. Yes, you can have hobbies and be traditional, but they're the type of hobbies that don't bring shame to your family or embarrass your man or make sure that, you represent his brand or his banner or, his legacy correctly. Of course, you can dress up and you can have fun, but it's really, to me, traditional means putting those traditional values first. And ladies, you're going to have to choose that in everything that you do. I think the benefits are so much better because if you look at modern women who are day drinking and on medication and angry and just, like Lucy says, resting mad face, having all the world as your oyster hasn't made them any happier. So if you don't want to end up as a party of one, hopefully this is something that you can listen to, whether you listen to live or the replay, because we haven't changed that much as humans, and all of us will make a decision. We have a question from Celine. She says, do you think living with a man is good before marriage? I'm going to say no. I've never lived with a man I haven't been married to. My ex-husband and I didn't live with him until we came back from our honeymoon. I live separately from my man. I'm a mother first. We have separate families. Once the kids are all up and out, then we'll have our time. I understand people can do what they want to, but it's a no for me. What would you add, Lucy?
It's a no for me too. That's more of an opportunity for you both to say 3 years in, 5 years in, to say, well, this is not working out for you. And then you start another round of relationships. Before you even had intimate relationships with a man, the reason that you got married for the most part is to have that, those loving things to happen after the marriage. I'm watching this show Bridgerton. It's about God, it's England, and when they used to wear the Victorian time, and there was this fight where this man um, met with a girl away from the family or the party, and the brother saw that meeting, and her honor was tainted because she was spending time alone away from the chaperone and stuff. And then they almost had a duel. They almost killed each other because the brother was going to defend the sister's honor for her, maybe bringing shame to the family and to herself, that her purity was no longer there because she met on her own with a man outside of chaperone. And again, it goes back to living before you get married, living with a man ladies, that's not a good idea, because again, that's where you get yourselves into situationships that, 7, 10 years in, and you're saying, my youth is gone and this man never asked me. Well, he had it easy. You allowed the living situation to happen. um, you know oh well, life is life.
Absolutely. You get what you get. I can't read the name, but thank you. Says, my mother was a traditional wife for my father. She shared with me she had her choice of high value men to marry, but she chose my father, a Henry, at the time. And honestly, ladies, for the overwhelming majority of us, like Kevin used to say, you only need one. Find your man, get on out of this dating game, and go live your life. It is sweet, and there's so many moments. And I have talked to a lot of women my age who thought they knew better, who thought they could either rush or go around. And like Lucy said, you spend 7 years, 13 years with somebody, and then you knew all along you wanted to be a wife, but you didn't require it. So now you're nagging him left and right. And so that living situation that you thought was going to be so fun, you're miserable because you didn't have the conversation and you're essentially a party of one. So, with that, we are going to go ahead and let you all go. Hopefully, this was helpful for you. The Wives Club is usually here every Friday. But Lucy, I'll have to talk to you. I am traveling again next Friday. Well, I may be back in time, so just stay tuned. We are the Wives Club on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for the comments, and we will see you all on the next episode. Until then,
Adios.
adios.